who are going to join us, women's rights activists, and various representatives of the different sectors who are here today. I'd like to introduce, first of all, Senator Pia Cayetano. Oh, Senator Pia, of course, needs no further introduction, but she is a women's rights activist and health advocate. She has consistently pushed for the passage of laws benefiting women, mothers, children, and the elderly, and the improvement of public health services for the poor and marginalized. Welcome, Senator Pia. Thank you for joining us. Next, we'd like to welcome Ms. Riza Ontiveros. Riza is the current Akbayan Citizens Action Party chairperson, and she was a former congresswoman who co-authored the reproductive health law and filed the cheaper medicines law and other laws like the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program. Welcome, Riza. And I'd like to say thank you to Senator Pia and Congresswoman Riza. Thanks to you, we can say sex in the upper and lower house. We can discuss sexual health rights and our equal right to a satisfying sex life in both the upper and lower house. Thank you. Next, please welcome Luvi Villanueva. Luvi is the former project manager of the Gender Responsive Economic Actions for the Transformation of Women under the Philippine Commission of Women. The PCW, as it is called, focuses on promoting gender-responsive environment for women's empowerment through economic opportunities. Welcome, Ms. Luvi. Thank you very much for joining us. We also have Ms. Beth Angshoko. Ms. Beth is an internationally acclaimed women's rights advocate and head of the Democratic Socialist Women of the Philippines, a national federation of accredited grassroots and community sector-based women's organizations. Hi, Beth. We've seen you a lot on TV talking about the RH law. Thank you again for joining us. And lastly, we have Ms. Jean Enriquez, the Executive Director of the Coalition Against Trafficking in Women Asia Pacific, a non-government organization that wants to end human trafficking and exploitation of women and children. Jean took a very active role in passing the anti-trafficking law in the Philippines, and one of my favorite programs of Sitaw is the Bantay Bugao campaign, a community-based program where we watch out for pimps and bugaws. Thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Adam, we also have spokespersons from concerned sectors in the audience. We have Miss Ann Lim of Galang, Lesbian Organization. Hannah May Aldeza from the Blind PWD community.
Thank you.
We have Osang Palma of Matinik. We have Salve Basiano of COPAP, Confederation of Older People Society of the Philippines. We also have Fire Sia, BPO Call Center Industry, Professor Juno Parungao from the Academe, Ms. Vina Rivera, Human Resource Manager. We also have organization STRAP, Society of Transsexual Women of the Philippines, CATWAP, Coalition Against Trafficking in Women Asia Pacific, and NOVEL, Association of Blind Women.
We also have representatives from other sectors. We did promise na cross-sector ang discussion natin ngayon. So, i-welcome natin yung mga representatives natin from the corporate sector, sa BPOs, and the call center industry. We have a number of representatives here. Palakpakan naman natin sila. We also have members of the Academe joining us. We have really come full circle and cross-sectoral in this discussion.
I guess you can see it's going to be a very exciting discussion. So please, you can join the conversation even if you aren't here. Just tweet and post on our Facebook, #WhipIt. This is in partnership with Pantene.
And to get this forum rolling, mag-umpisa na tayo. I will ask the first question. Is a woman's identity, yung multiple or singular identities niya, is it a hindrance to her job searching? Ang pagkatao ba ng isang babae nagiging sagabal sa kanyang paghahanap ng trabaho? Senator Pia, I'll ask you first. You have multiple roles, entrepreneur, wife, mother, legislator. What can you say about this?
Tingin ko depende sa trabahong papasukin. Kasi meron talagang trabaho that women are preferred, no? So that's a fact. Pero in general, I think there is still a stereotype that, especially if the one interviewing are men, but sadly, it still happens with lots of women, isipin nila na kaya ba ng babae ang trabahong to kung nanay siya. O kahit hindi pa siya nanay, alam kasi we know that women tend to be caregivers, so they have other responsibilities at home, their extended families, their elderly parents, siblings, kung may sakit. So employers will always wonder if kakayanin ng babae. And one problem I've had, because I've been wanting to improve benefits for pregnant and lactating mothers, is yung pahabain sana yung maternity leave. And the problem I have with that is that may malaki pang possibility as of now na mag-backlash yun because employers will tend not to hire women knowing na pag nabuntis, mahaba yung maternity leave. So these are stereotypes that work against women that we continue to have to work on para over time mawala na at makita naman yung value ng women.
So meron talagang jobs na may preferred ang women, meron din naman na preferred ang men. Pero there are certain things na
Everything
Oo.
should be equal,
Yes.
and yet dehado ang women because of the multiple roles that we carry. So burden natin yan parate, and we need society to overcome that. Hindi tayo ang dapat mag-change. Society and employers must change to accommodate the different roles that women will always carry.
Alright. Thank you, Senator Pia. Risa, sa experience mo naman, ano yung masasabi mo doon? Nakakasagabal ba ang pagiging babae?
Actually, dapat sana yung pagtatrabaho natin, tulad nung pag-aaral natin, nung bata tayo, tulad ng pagkakaroon ng pamilya o iba't ibang relasyon, dapat yung trabaho ay isang expression ng ating pagkatao. There should not be an artificial opposition placed between the two. At kung mas women's world sana ito, and that's what we're all working for, then, gaya ng sinabi ni Senator Pia, dapat sa konkreto magbabago yung mga batas at polisiya sa politika para kilalanin yung partisipasyon natin bilang tao at mamamayan na babae. Dapat nare-reform yung ekonomiya natin para yung karapatan ng babae na lumahok, makinabang sa ekonomiya ay na-uphold. Dapat yung mga sexist o patriarchal na mga kultura natin sa iba't ibang institusyon ay hinahamon din at binabago natin so that whatever dream a young girl or a little girl has, kung anong aaralin niya, anong magiging trabaho niya, sino yung mamahalin niya paglaki niya, what kind of a woman will she be when she grows up, hindi hadlang na siya ay babae, kundi yan ay isang essential na elemento kung bakit may karapatan siya at dapat hubugin siya para makamit yung ganung mga pangarap.
At Riza, dahil na-mention mo na kailangan din natin ng reforma sa batas at sa mga polisiya, pupunta naman po ako kay Miss Luvi sa gawain po natin sa PCW, or Philippine Commission on Women, na nagfa-fight po tayo for equal rights, for economic empowerment of women. Ano po masasabi niyo dun sa tanong natin ngayon hapon?
I think in terms of reforms, no, the Magna Carta of Women has done that quite significantly, because in terms of equal work and equal pay, that's already instituted, or that's already provided in the Magna Carta. And also in terms of the right to food, the right to exercise, work or arts, even in the arts, that's already provided. And even in skills and training, in getting or acquiring employable skills and training, there's no more, the Magna Carta of Women does not anymore discriminate that there's certain skills training only for men and certain, so that's already out. So everybody is given equal opportunity under the Magna Carta of Women.
Pero ano yung mga problema kaya nang hinaharap natin ng mga kababaihan at kaya kailangan natin ipasulong yung ganyan na economic opportunity for all?
Yeah, okay. So, for example, in terms of women not being able to go to formal employment, the option is really to go to business, for example, or go and pursue their entrepreneurship dreams, no? Traditionally, the people would think that the only problem is really capital, but it's not. There are quite a number of issues or needs of women who wants to go into business, and that aside from capital, and that's really the acquiring the business skills itself. Of course, the assumption is that the woman who wants to go into business would have her business idea, but to pursue that business idea, he does not only have to have a dream, he has to know if the business idea will have a market or people will buy the product or the service that she is thinking of. And that's precisely what is lacking among the women who wants to go into business, aside from capital. In terms of capital, there's while our microfinance or microcredit programs benefit more or a big majority of the women, sometimes when you are growing or a business or sustaining a business, the credit products of microfinance institutions are not really enough. So she has to go to a commercial bank, and when she goes to a commercial bank, she cannot cope with the requirements of lending from a commercial bank. So that's a hurdle
Okay.
for her to go into business.
Nakikita natin na napaka-importante talaga ng pagkakaroon ng sapat na trabaho na para magkaroon ng economic empowerment at equality. Pero alam din natin na may vulnerabilities ang mga babae because maraming economic opportunities naglalak. Jean, I want to talk to you about that specific to what you do also in Sitao. Paano naging mas vulnerable yung mga babae natin?
In reference to your earlier question
Yes.
as well, we have to say, just to reinforce what Senator Cayetano and sasabihin ko Senator Tiveros mentioned earlier, it should not be a problem, but currently the multiple identities of women, especially of those marginalized, proved to be an obstacle to their employment. No? As early as the 1990s, we were already documenting discrimination against lesbians when it comes to the workplace. Minsan tanggap na sila, pero pagka dumating sila na ang kasuotan nila ay hindi stereotypical na pangbabae, hindi tatanggapin. No? Tapos para sa mga kababaihan na walang empleyo, sa mga tinutulungan namin na na-traffic, sinasabi nila na pipilitan sila na mapunta sa prostitution. Kasi sa edad na 30, hindi na sila tinatanggap sa mga kahit simpleng pagtitinda, no? At simpleng trabaho. So mayroong edad na hangganan. Bawal ito dapat. Pero ang katotohanan, kahit po may batas tayo, napakarami sa kanila nandito sila ngayon. Hindi sila makakuha ng trabaho pag umabot sila sa edad na kasing bata ng 30. No? At kailangan yun nga, may pleasing personality. Kahit minsan hindi natin alam, actually hindi to relevant siguro kahit sa anong trabaho, no? Pero yung sales lady especially, hindi sila makapasok. So they become more vulnerable to other forms of abuse.
So bukod sa, apart from capability to be accepted or to be fit for a job, meron talagang pumapasok na minsan gender orientation bias. Minsan din sa age bias may pumapasok din. Miss Beth, I will go to you. Sa work natin sa DSWP, sa mga grassroots, ano naman ang mga nakikita natin na mga hinaharap na hadlang ng mga kababaihan natin sa grassroots?
Actually, nananatiling marami. Una muna, gusto kong balikan yung una mong tanong na sabi mo, yung pagiging babae ba ay nagiging hadlang at yung multiple tasks natin. Ano? I agree with Senator Pia, it should not. Pero in the same manner na ine-examine natin at hinahamon natin yung ating pagtingin doon sa pagiging babae, doon sa pagiging lalaki, dapat siguro natin ding examinin at hamunin kung ano yung pagtingin natin sa salitang trabaho. Kasi pag sinabi nating trabaho, usually ine-equate natin yan employment, which is not necessarily. So, malaki na yung ipinagbago ng mundo. Marami ng, kunyari, ang OFWs natin who actually provide us with a lot of resources to be able to survive. ang tinatawag na underground economy, which is not really underground because nakikita natin yung mga nagtitinda, nakikita natin yung mga labandera, nakikita natin yung mga makeup artists, no? Mga drivers, mga konduktor. These workers actually comprise about 25 million of the
25.
entire workforce. They are bigger than those formally employed. And yet, in terms of laws, we don't have laws that protect their rights. They're not covered by labor standards. They're not covered virtually by social security, health insurance, and all these things. So we have to examine, when we say work, we have to examine and be clear that work does not always necessarily mean employment. All economic activities should be considered work. And all work done by women, even in terms of reproduction, should be considered as work because they indirectly contribute to the economic conditions of our society. And therefore, ang gusto kong sabihin dito ay hindi lang yung economic opportunities, but also yung sinasabi ni Senator Pia about maternity benefits, 1980s pa, inilalaban na namin yan. Pero noon pa, sinasabi na nga, it will backfire. Kasi ang employers will not prefer women, no? Dahil expense yan. The way we think, yung ating pag-iisip pagdating sa reproductive work ng mga kababaihan should also be re-examined. If, in case, all women nag-strike sa isang araw, hindi naglaba, hindi nagluto, paano papasok ang mga kalalakihan sa trabaho? Kung sa isang taon, lahat ng babae nag-strike, hindi nanganak,
Okay ba
saan
yun?
ka kukuha ng susunod mong mga manggagawa, mga leaders, at presidente ng Pilipinas? All these things, I think, should be re-examined.
Ang ganda ng discussion natin. Napag-usapan din natin na may mga other sectors sa job market natin na kailangan din protektahan ng batas at i-cover ng batas.
Okay, Anna, let's hear from the other spokespersons, no? Maybe Ann Lim of Galang, we could hear about your experiences, yung mga karanasan nyo.
Magandang hapon po ulit. I'm Ann. I represent Galang Philippines. We're a lesbian organization that works specifically with urban poor LBTs, which are lesbians, bisexual women, and trans men in Quezon City. Ibalik ko lang po siguro dun sa tanong kanina ni Ana, na relevant ba ang gender ngayon sa workplace, sa paghahanap ng trabaho? Ang automatic kong sagot, syempre dapat hindi. Pero sa katotohanan, una, oo. Sa pangkalahatan, oo. Pangalawa, anong klaseng kababaihan ang pinag-uusapan natin? Dapat nating tukuyin ang disjoint sa pagitan ng batas natin at ng aktual na realidad ng mga karaniwang lesbiana sa komunidad. Bakit? Kasi sa saligang batas natin, wala namang pagtatangi, regardless of class, sex, etc. But when you go to the workplace, when somebody applies for a job, it's relevant. Your education is relevant. Yes. How you look is relevant. How you speak is relevant. Case in point, nabanggit na rin ni Jean kanina na ang mga lesbiana, the stereotypical lesbian, siguro maikli yung buhok, nakapantalon, nakapolo. May mga kaso kami sa community sa Galang na pag nag-a-apply sila online, the few of them who actually have finished college education, when they apply online, they actually get a schedule for an appointment. But when they come for an appointment and they're dressed the way they're typically dressed, they're dressed semi-formally naman, like in a business attire, in polo and slacks, no? Pagdating pa lang sa HR manager, it's either sasabihan na pasensya, hindi kami tumatanggap ng immoral.
Immoral?
Or, yun na yung malala doon, or tatawanan ka, or sasabihin, tatawagan ka na lang namin, which is really code for, hindi ka na namin tatawagan ulit. Maganda nga rin na nabanggit kanina yung usapin ng pleasing personality, kasi yung pleasing personality niya, nakaangkla sa usapin ng mga gender bias. Kasi pag sinabi natin pleasing personality, at least in the mainstream world, no, what is pleasing? What is pleasing is that you follow gender norms. Therefore, if you are a woman and you're pleasing, your features are pleasing to the male gaze, which means you have long hair, you wear a skirt, you wear makeup. And so therefore, a lot of lesbians who look masculine are considered not pleasing and don't get hired. So,
Okay. That's a very good information, no? How about from the group STRAP, the organization STRAP, from Miss Charlize Sabelo of STRAP.
Yes,
Yes.
hi.
Maybe you could share and enlighten us some more of like yung mga pinagdadaanan nyo rin as trans women.
Okay, yeah. But first of all, I guess I should define what trans women is because maybe not everyone would know what a trans woman is. So a trans woman is someone who was assigned male at birth, but whose gender identity is female. So I'm a trans woman. It means that I'm legally male, but I identify as female.
Charlize, if I may ask you, para rin mga sa mga nanonood natin na kadagdag alaman, ano daw ba yung pronoun na dapat gamitin when addressing a trans woman? What is the proper acceptable pronoun?
Madali lang naman siya kasi trans women, women. So logically, the pronoun should be female or the women's pronoun, she, her, and yan. Just to be respectful
Yes.
of our identity. Anyways, for this talk, I would like to share a Facebook post by my friend today. It's very, very relevant to the talk today. And I would like to quote Mara Chua, a member also of STRAP. And she said on her post, she said, non-transgender people have no idea how much injustice and peril an average trans person in the Philippines have to go through just to survive, to live a dignified life. The biggest injustice being treated as subhuman, lumped into caricatures that somehow deserve less rights because we are who we are. We have to fight for something as simple as being recognized because under the Philippine Constitution, we do not exist. We have to work twice as hard to prove our worth and out of fear of discrimination in the workplace because we're easy target. A lot of my sisters then resort to sex work because they're left with no other choice. So that's a very good post. Anyways, the post said that trans women are not recognized under the law, and the problem there starts there. Because if we're not recognized under the law and we don't exist, then how can we protect our rights and how can we fight for our right? So it's important that we have or we push for an anti-discrimination law and also a gender recognition law so that we can be recognized as human beings and as persons. And then also in the Philippines, trans women are stereotyped in only 3 major industries. One is entertainment because, well, they said we're funny, so we should just use being funny. And then number 2 is beauty, the beauty industry. Most trans women are makeup artists and hairdressers. And then lastly, sex work. So since we don't get the work that we deserve, well, we are forced to do sex work. But I'm not saying that it's bad, but that's the reality of it. So we're boxed into these 3 categories, and we don't have role models that are into other fields like the one listed. We don't have trans women role models in the government. We don't have trans women role models in the legal industry, in the medical industry, in science and technology. So trans women feel like, where are we in the society? Where are we in the workplace? And if we don't have work, how do we find the economic opportunity to survive? And lastly, there's the BPO, which is open to hiring trans women, yes. And that's a very welcome development in the country. But the IDs and the emails that they use still reflect our male names. And that's because legally we're male. So, and also there's a recent news this week, this week, there's a trans woman who filed a complaint in the QC government because by the way, she's already a post-op trans woman, and on her workplace she was barred from using the female restroom. So just the basic need of using the restroom, there's a problem just because of who we are. So
Charlize, iba-bounce ko lang yung sinabi mo at dito kay Miss Jean. Because sabi mo nga, trans women, malimit na for force sa certain boxes and limited ang economic opportunities na papasok tayo sa sex work. Jean, i-link natin yun dun sa una natin sinabi rin na yung trafficking na problema ng mga kababaihan.
I think it was elaborated very well, no? So binanggit ko rin kanina how our opportunities are actually narrowed down. I have to mention how this lack of income is so prevalent also in the rural areas. We should probably put that into the picture, no? So there's just massive loss of income right now in the rural areas. It was worsened also by the recent disaster. So all of this contribute to factors that aggravate the trafficking of women especially, and also children, especially towards the sex industry. But then there's also labor trafficking.
Correct.
So this has really has to be addressed, the lack of income in the rural areas as well.
Thank you.
Okay, actually, para naman po sa mga may edad, si Nanay Salve, maybe you can share with us. She's from COPAP. Again, she's from COPAP, Confederation of Older People Society in the Philippines. Baka pwede niyo i-share ang inyong mga experience, lalo na sa mga may edad at nawawalan ng oportunidad, no, sa ating society.
Maraming salamat. Good afternoon, everyone. Actually, I'll be sharing with you some things, but first I'd like to correct. COPAP is Confederation of Older Persons Associations of the Philippines. We had been pushing for the promotion of older people's rights in the country. Babalikan ko yung tanong mo kanina about being a woman as probably being a negative factor sa paghanap ng trabaho. I think sa ating kasing bansa, culturally, women are saddled with more of the domestic functions besides reproduction. So, considering there are about 75 to 80% of our families that are poor, most of us don't have access to household help. So this becomes a major consideration for women who are out looking for jobs outside. Pag nakikita nilang yung job na kanilang pinupunteriya would be taking them away from their domestic functions, they are constrained. They're constrained to leave job hunting.
Yes.
So mas gugustuhin na lang nila to stay home and maybe look for other opportunities of earning, yung tinatawag ninyo kaninang underground economy. So when we talk of employment for outside employment for women, nagiging mahirap hindi lamang komo babae, kundi komo mahirap na babae. And para sa aming mga nakatatanda, you couple this, you double this, so doble ang problema naming mga nakatatandang babae. First, wala na kami pag-iiwan ng mga asawa, karamihan sa amin, nababalo. There are less men alive sa mga nakatatandang households. Second, there is very little, if at all, any opportunity for job employment sa mga matatandang babae, nakatatandang babae. So napakahirap maghanap ng trabaho sa labas ng pamilya.
Nanay Salve, matanong lang din po, sa karagdaman alaman natin lahat, ano po ba yung age natin pag sinasabi natin nakakatandang babae po?
Sa amin kasi sa COPAP, ang aming edad na tinitingnan ay 50 and above. When you start becoming golden and your hair starts graying, then
50? Akala ko nga po, mas
elderly po yan sa amin.
Elderly na po yan.
Yes, but legally we have the term senior citizen. Actually dito lang po yan sa bansa natin yung terminong senior citizen. Outside of the country, there is no such term.
Oh.
Ang ginagamit po sa labas ng bansa is older persons.
Older persons.
Especially when you go to UN, older persons ang tawag sa lahat ng mga nakatatandang babae. Babae at lalaki. So I'd like to go back doon sa ano kasi the problem actually is not so much cultural but more structural kasi sa ating bansa, I was listening to Senator Pia. Actually, si Senator Pia was chairperson of the committee na nag-approve nung Republic Act 1994, which is otherwise known as Senior Citizens Act of 2010. So thank you very much, and si Senator to be Pia. Risa Ontiveros. We've been working together sa ilang mga gawain. But yes, tungkol po sa trabaho, ang nakikita po kasi namin, our government is not really prepared to handle aging, considering that our population is aging as the day goes. Patanda ng patanda ang ating populasyon. But our government, our society is not ready for it. Consider na kahit ang ating mga batas, even our labor laws are very much discriminatory against aging. Oobligahin ka at 65 to leave your work, to leave your job, and masasama ka na doon sa mga unemployed. Di nga nila mabigyan ng trabaho yung mga bagong graduates, di lalo na yung mga nakatatanda na aalisin sa trabaho, nakaupo na, aalisin para daw merong maupuan yung mga bagong graduates. Sabi ko, it is not our responsibility to give jobs to the young ones. It is government's responsibility to create jobs for everybody.
Senator Pia, matanong lang din po natin, pumasok na rin po yung law natin for the elderly or older persons. Ano ho ba yung mga iba pang ginagawa ng government para matugunan yung mga concerns ng elderly people natin?
Well, I think the expanded Senior Citizens Act will do a lot because talagang binibigyan ng pansin yung contribution nila sa society and to try to make them more productive by providing discounts so that they can make do with lesser income, but also opening opportunities for them. But I'd like to not really digress, no, but to answer in a broader perspective because this will address not just older women in society, but women in general. I'm coming from sa statements na sinabi earlier ni Beth Angshoko about the broader definition of employment and the workforce. Many years ago, I blogged in my blog, which is mydailyrace.com, on the unpaid woman. Ang mga babae kasi, as Beth was explaining, many contribute to society in visible ways, although not employees. So yung mga tinatawag na informal workers, yung mga vendors, yung hina-hire na part-time ng mga government, local government na street cleaners, ang dami-dami ng kababaihan na ganyan. But in addition to that, there are the unpaid workers at home. The mothers, or not even mothers, but the women who give up their careers to take care of the home. The children, minsan, kasi kaya sinasabi ko hindi lang mothers, minsan yung nakakantandang ate, siya na yung hindi mag-aasawa, mag-aalaga nung anak ng mga kapatid niya na nagtatrabaho. And all of these women are unprotected by society. And their work is not computed in the gross domestic product. So napakalaking bagay yan all over the world now. Tinitingnan yung contribution ng kababaihan na hindi kasama dun sa output ng buong bansa. And napakalaki nga nun. Sabi nga ni Beth, pag tumigil lahat ng babae for that one day, ano yung loss nun? Napakalaki. Now, to answer your question, what loss do we have to acknowledge this? No, not just the older women, but women in general. Under the new, a lot of people know my work because of the reproductive health law. But at the same time, I was working also on the PhilHealth law. Kaya lang kasi dito kasi sa media natin, that's why I love social media. In traditional media, hindi nabibigyan ng pansin ang mga less controversial bills. Pag hindi pa namin dinebate yung the right to safe and satisfying sex, wala pang papansin sa reproductive health na yan. But anyway, I'm saying that we worked on the PhilHealth law as well. And under this law, we recognize the contribution of the informal sector. So dito, government is actually tasked to provide them with PhilHealth benefits. And what we have not done, but we should do, is to also expand the coverage of Social Security so that more women, even though they contribute in the informal sector or behind the scenes in the home, would be covered. And this, I think, is the first step to empowerment. Kasi you cannot be productive if nagkasakit ka, if na-disable ka, if nagkaroon ka ng situation in your life where you cannot work temporarily, or if you just had your birthday and turned 60 years old, or for that matter, sadly, 30 years old. And that's actually one of the bills I'm working on, yung age discrimination. I never thought that we have to have another law because the Constitution is already very clear that we shouldn't discriminate against age. But I'm working on that because the truth is, open your newspaper, and it says there, only apply if you're 18 to 25 or 18 to 29 up to 30. So there are still things that must be changed, and as we speak, I am hearing bills that discriminate against women. This is a continuing hearing because napakarami kaya ng isang hearing.
Okay.
Jean.
Can I just add also the problem of contractualization of labor? A lot of women employees are in very insecure jobs right now, and that's another bill that we are fighting for, the security of tenure. At least 65 to 78% from 1995 to 2005, 65 to 78% of the employed labor force are contractual. So it's that staggering, and it's very alarming. A lot of the women who were trafficked, whom we have helped, said that they were forced again to leave the country, even sell their family's carabao or a small piece of land, because they were often in 3-month jobs and they will lose the job again. So it's a cycle. So they have to look for another job again. So this insecurity in terms of job, and it's so normalized among companies right now, it has to be exposed and it has to be stopped. No? Kailangan na ng job security ng mga workers, especially ng women workers natin.
Okay. Let's actually go to Hannah Mesa for PWD hindrances, and she's from the blind sector. Maybe pwede niyong i-share yung discrimination kung may nararanasan kayo. Your thoughts on this?
Good afternoon po. I'm Hannah May Aldeza. I work in call center as a telesales agent. So balik nga po dun sa issue about employment sa mga applicants. So, kasi I experienced din before, applying on jobs online. Before I was working freelance as a transcriptionist and an English coach, and then I decided, okay, I'd work in an office. So, I started applying online. So, yung experience ko is, kasi they'll call you for an interview, diba? They wouldn't know that you're visually impaired kasi most of them naman, I think, I assume don't read resumes. So, I'm sorry. So, tatawag sila and then, oh, okay, so, you go for an interview tomorrow at 9 a.m. So, at first, I won't say that I'm blind. So, I'll go for an interview, and then they'll see that I'm visually impaired kasi shades, and someone's accompanying me, so they're like, oh, you're blind. Oh, I'm sorry. We don't have like facilities for you. And really, we don't need special facilities naman. We can use the computer, regular computer, and we can there's just a software that we download for it to read. It's screen reading software to read us what's on the screen, so we can work, send emails, and we can use the telephone or whatever. So, sa amin parang So, there are two things that I did then. So, one is hindi ko na lang sasabihin, and then pagdating doon, meron din silang gagawin. So, sige, i-interview na, undergo sa normal process. Kasi nga naman, para hindi masabi na, they're discriminating. So, normal process, interview, exams, typing, speed, whatever, secondary interview until such time na okay, ready ka na mag-sign ng contract kasi napakabilis naman ng So, and then they'll say, okay, tatawagan ka na lang namin. And kagaya nga nung sinabi nila, alam mo na na hindi ka natatawagan. So, also, yun nga, meron din namang time na sasabihin ko, hello, do you have any, do you accommodate visually impaired people? Kasi I'm blind eh. Ma-filter mo na agad eh. Sasabihin nila, okay, we don't accommodate kasi ganyan. O sige na, -1 sa list of your applications. So, yun. Kasi I heard na meron daw pong anti-discrimination laws for towards disabled people or, blind people. The government sector, like the government, pagpapasok ka sa government offices. Pero sa mga private institutions, wala. So, siguro po mas maganda kung mas mai-implement yon para at least meron naman kaming opportunities yung mga blind people na makapag-work. And kasi nakakalungkot kasi most blind people that I know resort to, be musicians and masseurs. That's no problem, 'di ba? Don't get me wrong kasi 'di ba, they give you comfort. Yung masseurs and musicians, 'di ba? They entertain, but paano yung mga kagaya ko na gusto ring magkaroon ng equal opportunities sa ibang fields. So, yun po.
Hana, ang napaka-interesting ng storya mo. Lahat kami focus talaga sa iyo. Pero gusto meron kaming mga other questions. Kunwari, dun muna tayo sa organization na nakatulong sa iyo. Sabi mo may tumulong sa iyo para makahanap ka ng trabaho.
Yeah, meron pong organization na tumulong sa akin. Kung hindi nila ako tinulungan, siguro hindi ako employed ngayon in office. Siguro baka nag-freelance ako ng ngayon pa rin, which is okay, pero mas maganda na I'm mainstreamed with sighted people kasi sa school pa lang talaga nasanay na ako na sila yung kasama ko. So,
pwede natin malaman kung ano tong organization na to at ano yung tulong na naibigay nila.
It's called ATRIEVE, Adaptive Technology for Rehabilitation and Empowerment of the Visually Impaired. So, sila yung in partnership with the call center that I'm working for. And yun, sila yung nakikipag-coordinate and they gave us training and they recommended 6 of us. So there are 6 visually impaired people in that call center. Pero doon lang.
So nagbigay sila ng training. Ano yung mga special training na kailangan mo pa? Very helpful na nalaman natin na wala palang kailangan ng special facilities, no, for people, meron na palang mga software. Pero ano pa kayo other training na nabigay para mas nahasa tayo?
For blind people po walang special training. So we've undergone telemarketing training kasi we are working nga in a subsidiary of a bank. So, yun, telemarketing, and then yung kumbaga paano maging personality. Yun nga yung sinasabi nila, you're blind, so kailangan medyo nagsasmile ka naman kasi hindi mo nakikita yung mga kasama mo. So baka, they'll see you as mataray or some mga gesture training, mga facial expression, ganyan po.
Can I just interject?
Yes,
Did you
please.
ever hear somebody telling a man, please have a pleasing personality, please smile?
No.
Can you imagine? what
Yan
we
din
have
yung
to deal
tinatanong
with?
namin kanina. Di ba, Nikki? Paano ba lalaki? Paano ba lalaki pag pleasing personality?
Well, actually, we thought of that. Maybe in the airline industry, no? Probably one exception that they look for that.
Actually, sabi po ng mga kasama natin tulad ng Flight Attendants and Steward Association of the Philippines, yung FASAP, we're not eye candy. Primarily, we're safety and safety specialists, and they have also another. So nakakatuwa. Of course, iniestima nila yung mga pasahero nila tayo. So they have the uniform, they have all these yung paano magkondukta. Pero they're very proud to say that beyond this exterior, we're the ones who keep you comfortable while flying. At kung may emergency man, kami magliligtas ng buhay nyo. So, yun.
Totoo naman.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
May I just say something? Kasi the concern should be the capacity to do the work. Yun dapat yung concern. Whether you're babae or lalaki, whether you're gaano man kataas o ano man ang itsura, the primary consideration should be the ability to do the work required. Now, sabi nila meron daw inherent na disadvantage ang mga kababaihan. Kasi for instance, a lot of people think that women are weaker or believe that women are weaker. A lot of people think that dahil mas maliit ang mga babae, hindi kayang akyatin yung mga lugar-lugar, no? But there is also this concept that says that we have to develop an enabling environment so that everybody would be able to have the economic life, the fulfillment that we want to do. Kaya nga po kanina, balikan yung sinasabi ni Senator Pia, yung tungkol dun sa coverage, social security coverage, sa PhilHealth coverage. I was just in the House of Representatives parang 3 weeks ago for the hearing of the bill that we're pushing for. It's Magna Carta of Workers in Informal Economy. In short, it's MACWI. This is the 4th Congress, pang-apat na kongreso na ito na nakafile yung bill na MACWI, pero mukhang ngayon ay umuusad sa House, sa Senate po ay wala pa. Wala pang, this is under Senator Pia, Social Justice. This is under the Social Justice Committee of Senator Binay. We were talking actually because a chunk of the bill has to do with social security for workers in the informal economy. And we were debating with the SSS and the PhilHealth. Kasi ang sabi ng SSS, pwede namang mag-voluntary member yung mga self-employed. But the concept, I question the concept of self-employed sa SSS. Kasi parang ito yung may mga pera, parang ito yung may mga sariling, mas maliliit na business. Hindi papasok dyan yung mga ordinaryong mamamayan, ordinaryong tindera, ordinaryong tawag dito, vendors, no? Or tricycle driver. Ang nangyayari kasi, merong inequality talaga. Outside of the fact that pwedeng mag-member, you pay double. Because, binabayaran mo yung contribution ng employer. Konsepto kasi is that hati yung employee tsaka employer for SSS and PhilHealth. But the fact is, if you are a voluntary member, you shoulder the employer's contribution, which is a big disincentive to ordinary people who would want to be covered by SSS. And therefore, the MACWI, the bill, proposes that SSS should actually customize programs. And we're asking government to also come in to infuse some funds so that maging totoo sa tunay na buhay yung universal coverage na sinasabi ng SSS. The bill also tackles, halimbawa, GSIS membership of your barangay tanod, of your barangay nutrition scholars, barangay health workers who are very, very hard working in the barangays. Pero hindi sila covered. So the bill actually asks government cover them and also provide for such security. Ang PhilHealth, ang sabi sa amin, ngayon, limitado pa lang din yung reach nila. That's what PhilHealth said in the hearing. And what we're saying is that this is in the interest of not just gender justice, but also social justice. Because workers in informal economy are marami babae pero marami din lalaki. So, yung marami pa talagang problema.
May I add to that? Since Beth has already tackled the issue of workers in the informal sector, where again, the bulk or the majority are women in micro businesses, I would also think that there are many programs that are into small or micro enterprise development, but really they have not reached the women who have started their own small businesses, especially in rural communities. So that's actually the problem. We have many policies, we have programs, but they have not reached. So what government, especially local government, should do is that to gather the women or the workers in the informal economy, especially, to be able to access these programs. programs that can help them grow their own businesses, because that's the alternative to having a formal employment.
I just that it's in the bill.
Okay. Ana, maybe we can hear from Osang Palma of Malayang Tinig ng Kababaihan. Maybe you can tell us more about your org and paano ba ito nakakatulong sa mga babae, lalo sa issue ng trabaho?
So, magandang hapon sa lahat ng mga kabayo. Tawag dito, yung Matinik kasi, 2000, parang ano lang siya, isang insidente na meron akong kapitbahay na ginombag nung asawa niya. Wala kasing pampatahi ng ulo, so sa akin lumapit. Tapos naisip ko lang na wala kasing ganung mga alternative na organisasyon, partikular sa barangay kung saan ako nakatira, sa barangay Tatalon. So kahit merong mga barangay officials na babae, hindi naman seryoso doon sa pagpapatupad ng BAW. So sabi ko ganyan, seryosohin ko kaya. So doon nag-start siya. Nag-umpisa siya na 50 kababaihan, hanggang sa ngayon ay nasa 300 na. Pero yung Matinik, hindi siya nagbibigay ng trabaho kung hindi nagmumulat ng antas ng kamulatan ng kababaihan na ano nga ba ang babae sa lipunan. So, babalikan ko rin po ulit yung tanong nyo kanina. Sa perspektibang pananaw, syempre dapat walang pagkiling kung babae man o lalaki, kung gender man siya o yung edad niya, kung trabaho ang pag-uusapan. Kasi yan yung pangangailangan ng mga kababaihan. Pero sa lugar namin, sa Quezon City, merong anyo ng pagkakahon sa mga kababaihan na hindi namamalayan, partikular ng mga lokal na opisyal. Ito yung pagbibigay nila parati ng training, ng paggawa ng puto, paggawa ng kikiam, na hindi nila alam, tinatali ulit yung mga babae doon sa loob ng bahay. Kasi pangungusina ulit yun eh. Parang tayo, ang gusto natin, na lumabas tayo, explore natin kung ano yung meron tayong galing. Kaya lang, yung karamihan na project ng mga lokal na politician, diyan nila itinatali at ikinakahon ang mga babae, bagamat sinasabi nila na tanggap na nila yung kababaihan sa ating lipunan. So, yun yung papel ng Matinik. Ipakita sa kanila na ang mga babae ay hindi lang nakatali sa 4 na sulok ng bahay at hindi lang ang mga babae ay pag-trip ng mga asawa nila ay jombagin at lalong-lalo na ang mga babae ay hindi isang sex object sa ating lipunan. So isa siyang tao, may pangangailangan siya, kailangan niya mabuhay, kailangan niya magtrabaho at kailangan niyang paunlarin ang kanyang sarili bilang isang productive babae sa ating lipunan.
Osang, matanong naman, ano yung siguro kung i-summarize natin, ano yung
I-insist yung tunay na agenda ng mga kababaihan. Halimbawa, yung mga batas na Magna Carta, sinusuportahan namin yan, sumasama kami sa mga lobbying. Yung pagkilala ng lipunan o ng komunidad sa inisyatiba na nagawa ng mga babae sa loob ng komunidad. So kasi yung komunidad namin masyadong sexist, no? Ang tingin nila pag merong mga issue na hindi BAW, pinagtatawanan yan eh. Although sinasabi ng Quezon City na ano tayo, tawag dito, tinatangkilik natin, pero sa dulo, yung totoo, yung reality, sa grassroots, hindi yung totoo. Kasi walang maayos na women's desk. Meron mang ilalagay na nakalagay sa women's desk, walang alam tungkol sa BAW. Parang palamuti lang siya, para masabi lang na kumpleto, Ricados, yung aming pamamahala. Pero at the end of the day, ako bilang nasa lupon ng barangay, karamihan, 100% ng pumapasok ay BAW. No? Pero ngayon, hindi tinitignan pa rin yun. Kasi ang alam nila kapag medyo may alam ka sa ganun, aktivista ka nga. Sila. No? Kaya,
yung sinasabi natin na VAW, ito yung violence against women and children. Okay.
Kasi
Yung
hindi
ano-
rin kasi yan napapagulong sa babae. Ibig kong sabihin, may mga ginagawa sila pero parang natatapos sa propaganda. Kasi dapat yung batas, continuous yun na ipinapaalam sa mamamayan para alam ng mamamayan ano yung nilalabag nila sa mga, partikular sa mga babae.
Ano pa yung last mo na issue na mapagsasama na pinaglalaban ng organisasyon nyo at konektado naman, i-connect natin to sa trabaho?
So, yung pagbibigay nga ng mga livelihoods, no, na nakadikahon sa photo making, walang katapusang making. Pwede naman yung mga babae, bigyan din, di ba, halimbawa na pwedeng mag-welder, di ba?
Exactly.
Explore
Why not?
natin yan.
Oo.
Pwedeng ganun, automotive, yung mga ganun
Wag
tipo.
lang sa domestic sphere.
Oo. Kasi doon lang siya paikot, gusto nga natin kumawala doon. Pero, ang hindi alam ng mga lokal na gobyerno, sila mismo ang nagdidiin muli sa pagkakahon sa mga babae dahil sa yung mga project nila na ibinababa sa baba.
Beth, pupunta ako sa'yo. Ang handa ka na rin naman sumagot. Yung Magna Carta of Women or Magna Carta of the Informal Sector na nabanggit mo na rin kanina, natutugunan na ba yung mga issues ni na Osang? At papaano?
Gusto ko lang sabihin, magkaiba ang Magna Carta of Women. Batas
Of the
na yon.
informal sector.
Okay, dun sa Magna Carta of Workers in Informal Economy na hindi pa batas. Doon sa Magna Carta of Women, muna, malaki maraming provision doon actually pagdating doon sa pagbibigay ng pantay na pangkabuhayang oportunidad para sa mga kababaihan. Maging sila ay nasa rural, nasa probinsya, o kaya nasa urban areas. Ang puna ko lang sa Magna Carta of Women, dahil siya ang Magna Carta, hindi ba, kailangan niya ng mas detalye. Nung binasa ko kasi yung implementing rules and regulations, parang feeling ko, hindi pa rin niya nasasagot yung mga mas detalye na kailangan para ma-implement ng maayos yung batas. Ang isang dahilan nga kung bakit namin ipinaglaban yung age kahit may Magna Carta ay dahil sa pangangailangan sa detalye. Ganyan kung bakit namin pinaglalaban ngayon yung Magna Carta of Workers in Informal Economy. Kasi halimbawa, yung sinasabi ng kasama natin, doon sa MACWI, meron doong mga, una muna, government agencies na titingin sa welfare at sa rights ng mga WIE ay sa national, nakapaloob sa DOLE, sa local, magagawa sila ng tinatawag nating WILDO. It's a Workers Informal Economy Local Development Group, something like that, na nakakabit din sa local government. Pero, ito yung sasagot, doon halimbawa sinabi kanina, dapat kilala natin kung sino yung mga workers, di ba? So, isa sa mga kailangan gawin talaga, yung database. At kaya para mag-benefit yung mga gagawa, sila ay magpapa-credit sa local government. Malakas yung gender dimension nung MACWI, kasi ang dami naming mga kababaihan na na talagang tumulong. Kaya lalagpas tayo doon sa mga traditional roles na yung sinasabi nyo nga, maging sa kabuhayan ay ganun pa rin yung ibinibigay na opportunity. Kung magiging batas sana ito, ang local government units will be mandated talaga to address the specific women workers issues ng WIE. So, sa local level. Kaya, lang yung pagpipilit namin na sana maisabatas ito kasi nandun na siya sa Magna Carta of Women for the women. Nandun na siya We need more details. Another thing is standards, labor standards. Wala kasing nagsasabing polisiya na kapag ikaw ay labandera, pwede ka lang magtrabaho ng hanggang 8 oras. Magkano yung suswelduhin mo? Di ba? Yung mga ganon. So, dito, nagagawa tayo ng labor standards na mag-a-apply dun sa ganyang klase ng trabaho. Para sa ganon, yung mga manggagawang ito ay mailapit natin yung kalagayan doon sa kalagayan ng mga formally employed na mga manggagawa. Yun yung in general, yung gusto natin ng coverage, of course, nga nung SSS, PhilHealth, gusto rin natin, of course, ng representation because hindi naririnig yung boses. Pag sinabi nga naming workers in informal economy, ano yun?
Correct.
No? Sinyon. So, yan, yung mga ganong klase, we need to hear the workers themselves also. So, representation din, yung sinasabi. Marami, mahaba kasi yung bill, pero most of the concerns na sinabi ng kasama natin, even vow, kasi yung education tungkol sa existing laws on women, nakapasok din sa bill, which is not being done at this point.
Pwede ko lang malaman, pwede lang din natin matanong, Beth, yung summarize lang natin, ang pag sinasabi natin informal sector, ano yung coverage nun?
Okay, sorry, hindi ako nag-define kanina. Pero yung nasa informal economy, ito yung mga manggagawa na hindi covered nung kadalasan na employee-employer relationship. Marami sa kanila walang pinagtatrabahuhan, walang tinatawag na opisina o pabrika na pinapasukan, walang workplace. Meron sa kanila na yung tinatawag na yung self-employed. Merong maliliit na negosyo. Halimbawa, yung mga nagtatanim na kinukuha din nila yung ani nila at ibinebenta nila sa palengke, workers in the informal economy yan. Yung maliliit na drivers, hindi yung mga corporate, yung nasa malalaking kumpanya na, kasama yan. Yung mga on-call, halimbawa, na kasi hindi napasama sila doon sa kasambahay bill law. Yung mga on-call na kasambahay, nannies, mga drivers, kasama yan. Mga tricycle drivers, mga mangingisda, mga maliliit na magsasaka, kasama yan doon sa mga workers. So, ang sinasabi nga kasi, yung term na yan cuts across all forms of workers.
Na hindi
mas
covered
malaki
ng
sila.
traditional employer-employee relationship.
Yes, and
Okay.
not covered generally or very inadequately covered by existing labor policies and laws.
Nabanggit mo rin na may micro-entrepreneurs na kasali dun sa informal sector. Ms. Luvi, merong ginagawa ang PCW or Philippine Commission on Women na Great Women Brand na tumutukoy at nakafocus sa mga micro-entrepreneurs natin.
Yes, the Great Women actually focus on women in micro-enterprises because, again, the issue is they are self-employed, so to speak, but their businesses are so small and they're not even registered as a business usually, and so they're not accessing most of the assistance that are available from government, and therefore how will they be able to grow or sustain the business in the first place? They are really in the low productivity level, so to be able to help them increase their earnings or their sales or improve their products, they have to have assistance from government. And this may be in the form of technical for product development. Minsan, kung minsan, yung simpleng peanut-based products, no, like adobo or ano, usually, dun lang yan nabibenta sa kanilang micro markets or their communities. But if the product has potential to grow or to reach more markets outside of their barangay or their municipality, then he or she, the owner, would need assistance from labeling, etc. And then she would need information about where or how she can register, so she can issue receipts. So that she can sell to the more stable markets like a grocery store, for example. So that's the usual problem. And we tried to help them. We tried to help bring the programs of government to these groups of women through also the local government.
Kakabit ko lang po sa tanong kanina ni Osang, kasi yung humihiling din po sila ng options. No, when it comes to livelihood, hindi lang po yung puro gawain ng pagkain, kasi covered na rin naman po yun. So, ang Great Women Brand ba may opportunity or option to expand into other fields? Welding, computer training, etc.
Yes, yes. Actually, PCW has partnered with TESDA, and TESDA already has the non-traditional trainings. Women is being trained to non-traditional work or skills like welders, electronics, automotive. That's already available. They just need to go to TESDA and enroll in these programs. And and I was told that the women welders trained by TESDA and certified by TESDA have 100% employment, or they are matched. Yeah, they are preferred also by some employers here in Metro Manila, I think. So aside from that, as you said, the Great Women, which is now a platform that we would like to promote to the entire country, including the other agencies with enterprise development programs, is now will now go into the services sector. So hindi lang food process. There are traditionally women's crafts and the women's crafts, but we're saying these enterprises do not grow because they are not really assisted well.
Okay. So, Ms.
Can I react also dun sa comments ni Osang, and to kind of put a bigger perspective on this, no? The reason why we continue to have these gender stereotypes is because we also maybe do not do enough to address it. So we look at the gender stereotypes in society and within the homes. In society, and we're talking about in the workplace, no? Allow me to just give a quick example what I do in my own workplace. Because I do believe that we lack role models. So I have a chief of staff who's a woman, and my deputy chief of staff are women. They actually told me that they planned their pregnancy such that hindi sila sabay mawawala. But of course, nature does not always cooperate. Sabay silang nawala. Dahil nagkaroon ng maternity, si DG tsaka si Karen, na kilalang-kilala ng mga RH advocates dito. So I was left in the Supreme Court alone without the two of them, with thankfully another female lawyer who was not pregnant and was not... But we cope, that's the thing. And so when they both went back to work, they were both breastfeeding. And they had previously breastfed their children for more than 1 year, as I had when I was working, because I am a boss who's a woman and allows it. So they breastfeed in the office. They express their milk and take it home. And even though we have a law, which is the expanded breastfeeding law, which allows it, hindi pa rin nangyayari yan in all offices. Why? Because the environment is not conducive. And so I use breastfeeding as an example, but in fact, I actually use this too as they actually co-share the job of chief of staff. Because I want them to be able to attend to their responsibilities as homemakers and as mothers. One has 3 kids, another has 2, and I also have 3 and many other women in my office. So I allow them to work at home. I allow them to text me. We WhatsApp. We use the internet to work. And kailangan ng ganitong klaseng changes for women's needs to be addressed so that we can fully participate in society. Kaya yung change, kailangan nangyayari sa society. Pero women must now not be embarrassed to exert that. And we therefore need women in leadership positions to say that it's okay. It's okay to say, I have to go home early because may recital yung anak ko. I have to go home early because yung anak ko 3 araw nang may lagnat. That is okay. Of course, we should not abuse it. But those are reasons that I never question when my employees give me that as a reason. Pero in traditional society, naki-question yon. Nagiging negative yon sa babaeng employee. Yeah. So these changes must come from a woman herself, her co-employees, her immediate boss, all the way to the top para nagiging katanggap-tanggap ito. In the same place, in the home, tayo mga babae, we must ask ourselves, are we, and let me use the term breeding, okay? Are we breeding, are we raising gender-sensitive young boys? Are we? I'd like to believe that my parents did so because my brother, Senator Alan, is very proud of his empowered wife who is a mayor. In fact, he always says, kayong may gustong makinig sa akin, pag narinig niyo yung asawa ko, hindi niyo na ako gagawing speaker kasi napakagaling ng asawa ko. So we need men who are proud of having a partner like that, who will think that their partner can do anything as well or even better than him. So yun din yung challenge ko sa atin. Kasi the surveys that they showed earlier before we started show na mismo mga babae, ang babaw ng tingin natin sa sarili natin. We say that men can do this but we cannot. Men are better than this than we are. So tayo mga babae, question ourselves, ask ourselves, ano yung pinapakita natin sa mga anak nating babae at lalaki?
Okay.
Thank
Anna,
you. Yeah.
we actually have a question coming in from our Twitter,
Social media.
from Demented Boy Manila.
Demented Boy Manila asks.
Yes. The question is there any bill filed to lower our tax rate and improve health insurance? And this is addressed to Senator Pia Cayetano.
Yung sa health insurance, I already mentioned that sa PhilHealth, we classified the different types of the different types of workers. So there's the employed, there's the self-employed, and there's the informal sector. As Beth was saying, dito sa informal sector, the government will be paying their contribution kasi we recognize na iba yung informal sector dun sa self-employed because yung employment nila is not permanent, does not have a minimum, minsan meron, minsan wala. On taxes, we continue to work on benefits that would recognize the disadvantage that women face. No? So we will continue to look at that, but to me, the bigger perspective is not just taxes, but also, as I said, the bigger perception of women's contribution and giving women those opportunities.
Thank you. Actually, for those who aren't here, let me just remind you, you can participate in our discussion and continue asking questions and comments. Just #WhipIt.
I think we have a question